He spit on a black waitress. Then her Korean Mafia boss boyfriend walked in flush-face. The sound that woke her wasn't the crash of plates or the hiss of oil from the fryer. It was laughter, sharp, careless, the kind that scraped across skin instead of ears. Aisha Johnson froze mid-step, a tray balanced against her palm, the weight of it suddenly unbearable. Steam rolled out from the kitchen doors behind her, fogging her lashes, clinging to her face like a damp veil. The smell of grease, burned garlic, and old coffee clung to her clothes so deeply that she had stopped trying to wash it out. Midnight shifts did that. They rewrote you. She had learned to survive by shrinking, by becoming efficient, polite, forgettable. Tonight, that strategy failed. "Hey!" A man called from table 7. "Over here." He didn't wave. He snapped his fingers. Aisha felt a familiar tightening in her chest but forced her shoulders back. She walked the way she always did, measured, unhurried, as if she wasn't running on 4 hours of sleep and caffeine, as if her feet didn't ache, as if she didn't have rent due in 3 days. "Yes, sir," she said. The man leaned back, spreading himself across the booth like he owned the place. Designer jacket, heavy watch, the confidence of someone who had never had to apologize for anything. His friends watched her openly, their eyes lingering too long, too comfortable. "You deaf?" he asked. "This isn't what I ordered." "I'm sorry," Aisha replied. "I'll take it back and fix it right away." She turned to leave. That was when it happened. A wet sound, sudden warmth against her cheek. For half a second, her mind refused to process it. Then the smell hit her, beer and spit, and the laughter exploded behind her like fireworks. The tray slipped from her hand. Plates shattered across the floor. Someone cursed in the kitchen. Aisha stood still, her body locked, her face burning where his spit slid down her skin. The restaurant felt too bright, too loud. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. "Clean it up," the man said, grinning. "That's your job, right?" Something inside her cracked. Not loudly, not all at once. Just a quiet fracture that ran straight through years of swallowed anger. She wiped her cheek with the back of her hand. Slowly, deliberately. "I won't serve you anymore," she said. The laughter died. "What did you say?" the man asked, standing. "I said I won't serve you anymore," she repeated. Her voice trembled, but she didn't lower it. "You need to leave." The manager hurried over, panic written across his face. "Aisha, it's okay. I'll handle." The man stepped closer to her, looming, his breath thick with alcohol. "You think you can talk to me like that?" Fear coiled low in her stomach, but beneath it was something sharper. Pride, memory, her mother working 2 jobs and still standing tall. Her grandmother's voice telling her never to bow her head. "I know exactly how I'm talking to you," Aisha said. For a moment, she thought he might hit her. Instead, the door chimed. The sound was soft, ordinary. The effect was not. A shift rippled through the room, subtle but unmistakable. Conversations faltered. Chairs stopped moving. Even the man in front of her hesitated. Footsteps approached, unrushed, controlled. Aisha. Her name. Spoken low. Steady. Her breath caught. She turned. Jin-Woo Park stood just inside the doorway, rain clinging to the shoulders of his dark coat. His hair was damp, his expression unreadable. He didn't look angry. He didn't look rushed. He looked focused. His eyes found haze instantly. Concern flickered there, quick and precise. Then his gaze dropped to the broken plates, the mess, the red mark on her cheek. Something cold passed through him. He stepped closer. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "No," she said automatically. Behind her, the man scoffed. "Who the hell are you?" Jin-Woo didn't respond. His attention stayed on Aisha. "Did he touch you?" he asked quietly. She hesitated, then nodded. "He spit on me." The air changed. Jin-Woo turned. "You should apologize," he said calmly. The man laughed, uneasy now. "You serious?" "Yes." "And if I don't?" Jin-Woo stepped closer, not aggressive, not threatening, just present, impossible to ignore. "Then you will leave," he said, "and tonight will cost you much more than dinner. You think you scare me." Jinwoo smiled faintly. It didn't reach his eyes. "No," he said. "I think you scare yourself." Silence stretched. The man glanced around. No one met his eyes. He shoved past Jinwoo and stormed out. The bell chimed again. Only then did Aisha realize her hands were shaking. "Come with me," Jinwoo said. "I can't. I'm working." Jinwoo looked at the manager. The man nodded immediately. "She's off." Outside, rain soaked the street, neon bleeding into puddles. Jinwoo guided her beneath his coat, shielding her without making a show of it. Inside the car, silence wrapped around them. "I'm sorry," Aisha whispered. "You shouldn't have had to see that." "I'm sorry I wasn't here sooner," Jinwoo replied. She looked at him then, really looked. The faint bruise near his jaw. The exhaustion he never talked about. "You always show up," she said. He reached for her hand, lacing his fingers with hers. Neither of them noticed the black sedan parked across the street. Watching. The car moved smoothly through the wet streets, windshield wipers keeping a steady rhythm that felt almost hypnotic. Aisha watched the city slide past in blurred streaks of light, her reflection faint in the glass. Her cheeks still burned, not from pain, but from memory. Neither of them spoke for several minutes. Jinwoo's hand remained over Hayes, warm and grounding, his thumb pressing lightly against her knuckles as if reminding her she was here, safe, real. He drove with the same control he brought to everything else, no wasted motion, no impatience. It had been one of the first things she noticed about him months ago, back when she thought he was just another quiet customer who tipped well and asked thoughtful questions. She hadn't known then what kind of man he really was. "You didn't have to confront him," she said finally, her voice softer than she intended. "People like that, they look for reactions." Jinwoo glanced at her briefly, then back to the road. He already had one. She exhaled. "I could have handled it." "I know." His voice lowered. "That doesn't mean you should have to." The words settled deep in her chest. They stopped outside her apartment building, a narrow, aging structure squeezed between newer developments. One flickering light buzzed above the entrance. Jinwoo turned off the engine but didn't move to get out. "Aisha," he said carefully, "I need you to listen to me." Her pulse quickened. "Okay." That man inside the restaurant, Jinwoo continued, was not just rude. He was testing boundaries. She frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means he wanted to see how far he could go without consequences." And now, Jinwoo said, "He knows there are consequences." A chill crept up her spine. "Jin, what aren't you saying?" He finally turned to face her fully. In the quiet of the car, she could see the lines of strain around his eyes, the weight he usually kept hidden. "There are people watching me," he said. "They watch everything connected to me, including you." Her breath caught. "Watching? How?" "Not because of you," he added quickly. "Because of me." She pulled her hand from his, folding it into her lap. "Jinwoo, if being with you puts a target on my back, I won't let that happen. You can't control everything." "No," he agreed quietly, "but I can control where you are, who has access to you." The implication landed hard. "You want me to stop working," she said. "I want you somewhere safer. My job is how I pay my bills." "I know. And my life doesn't get to disappear just because someone else might be dangerous." Jinwoo studied her for a long moment. There it was, the thing he loved most and feared most about her. She didn't bend easily. She didn't hand over her autonomy, not even to him. "I'm not asking you to disappear," he said. "I'm asking you to let me help." Aisha shook her head. "Help usually comes with strings." "Yes," Jinwoo admitted. "This does too." The honesty startled her. "What kind of strings?" "Proximity," he said. "Visibility. You staying close to me for a while." Her laugh was sharp, nervous. "You're saying that being closer to the danger somehow makes me safer." "In my world," Jinwoo replied, "distance creates blind spots." Silence stretched between them. Aisha thought of the man's laughter, the spit on her cheek, the way the room had gone quiet the moment Jinwoo walked in. "You should have told me sooner," she said. I wanted you to choose me, he replied, not the protection I come with. Her throat tightened. And now, Jinwoo said, the choice isn't that simple anymore. She looked at him, really looked. Not the composed man in tailored coats, not the quiet presence who ordered tea instead of alcohol, but the man underneath, the one who carried danger like a second skin, the one who still showed up for her, rain-soaked and steady. What exactly are you suggesting? She asked. Come stay with me, he said. Her heart skipped. Your place? Yes. That's not temporary proximity, Jin. That's a line. I know. Aisha stared at the dashboard, at the faint crack in the plastic near the radio. She thought of her small apartment, the thin walls, the locks that felt suddenly inadequate. She thought of walking into work tomorrow, wondering who might be watching. Just until things cooled down, she asked. Yes. And I don't stop being me, she added. I don't quit my job unless I decide to. I don't become something I'm not. Jinwoo nodded. Agreed. And you don't control my every move. A pause. Then, I'll try, he said. That made her smile despite herself. Okay, she said quietly. I'll come, but this is not surrender. Jinwoo's expression softened. I would never want it to be. His residence was nothing like she expected. Not a towering penthouse or a fortress of glass and steel, but a carefully renovated brownstone tucked behind tall gates and old trees. Inside, the air smelled faintly of cedar and clean linen. The space was minimalist but warm. Soft lighting, bookshelves filled with worn spines, art chosen with care rather than excess. This is where you live, she asked. This is where I sleep, he corrected. He showed her a guest room, bright, comfortable, unmistakably prepared. You planned this, she said. I hoped, he replied. That night, sleep didn't come easily. Every sound felt amplified. Every shadow seemed to move. Aisha lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to the unfamiliar quiet. At some point, she heard footsteps outside her door. A pause. Then Jinwoo's voice, low and careful. You're safe here. She didn't answer, but the words wrapped around her like a promise. What she didn't know was that elsewhere in the city, phones were ringing, names were being spoken, and the man who had spit on her was learning exactly who Jinwoo Park was. Morning arrived quietly. Aisha woke to the soft hush of light filtering through sheer curtains, the unfamiliar comfort disorienting at first. The bed beneath her was firm but welcoming, the sheets cool and smooth against the skin. For a moment, she didn't move. She listened. No shouting through thin walls. No sirens slicing the air. Just stillness. She sat up slowly, the events of the night before settling into her body with a dull ache. Jinwoo's house felt like a pause in the world, a place where time slowed, where nothing demanded anything of her immediately. That, more than the luxury, made her uneasy. She dressed quietly and followed the faint sound of movement downstairs. Jinwoo stood in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, hair still damp as if he'd showered recently. He moved with practiced ease, pouring tea, slicing fruit with careful precision. A small scar across one knuckle, old, faded. Her gaze lingered there longer than she meant it to. Good morning, he said without turning, as if he'd sensed her. Morning, she replied. He slid a cup across the counter toward her. Ginger tea. You didn't sleep much. She blinked. How did you know? You were quiet, he said. Too quiet. She smiled faintly and took a sip. Warmth spread through her chest. You always notice things. It's a habit. They stood in companionable silence, the clink of porcelain the only sound. It felt strangely domestic, dangerous in its own way. Comfort had a way of lowering defenses. Someone followed us last night, Jinwoo said suddenly. Her hand froze around the cup. What? Not closely, he added. Enough to be seen if you know how to look. Her pulse quickened. And you didn't think to tell me. I didn't want to scare you. She met his gaze. Too late. I lost them, he continued. But it confirms what I suspected. Aisha set the cup down carefully. Which is? That the incident at the restaurant didn't end there. Her stomach tightened. The man. Men like him rarely act alone, Jinwoo said, and they don't like being embarrassed. So what happens now? She asked. Now, he said evenly, we're careful. That day, she insisted on going out. I won't hide, she told him as they stood by the front door. If I start living like I'm already afraid, they win. Jinwoo studied her for a long moment. Then you don't go alone. He drove her to the cafe where she met her friend Lena, a sharp-tongued, warm-hearted woman who had been part of her life since college. Lena took one look at Jinwoo and raised an eyebrow. Well, she said, you weren't kidding. Aisha laughed nervously. Lena, this is Jin. Jinwoo nodded politely. Nice to meet you. Uh-huh, Lena replied. You look like trouble. Jinwoo smiled faintly. I've been told. As they sat, Aisha noticed Jinwoo's attention never fully left the room. He tracked movement unconsciously, catalogued faces. It was unsettling and strangely reassuring. Is he always like that? Lena whispered when Jinwoo stepped away to take a call. Yes, Aisha said. That's the problem. And the appeal, Lena added. Later, as Jinwoo drove her home, Aisha broke the silence. You don't ever turn it off, do you? No. Doesn't that get exhausting? He considered the question. It gets lonely. The word hung between them, fragile and revealing. That night, the threat finally showed its teeth. Aisha was in the living room, curled up with a book she wasn't really reading. When she heard it, a soft knock at the gate outside. Jinwoo stiffened instantly, his body going still. Stay here, he said. She followed anyway, heart pounding. Outside, a black sedan idled the curb. A man stepped out, mid-30s, expensive coat, practice smile. Jinwoo parked. The man called. We should talk. Jinwoo's voice was calm. You should leave. The man's gaze flicked to Aisha. Is that her? Jinwoo stepped slightly in front of her without thinking. That's close enough, Jinwoo said. The man chuckled. You always did have a weakness. Aisha felt the words like a blade. Who is he? She whispered. Someone who thinks intimidation is negotiation, Jinwoo replied. The man's smile faded. You embarrassed one of ours last night. He embarrassed himself. That's not how we see it. And that, Jinwoo said quietly, is why this conversation is over. The man shrugged. Just remember, anything you care about can be leveraged. He returned to the car and drove off. Aisha's breath came shallow and fast. Jin, he was talking about me. Yes. You brought me here knowing this could happen. Jinwoo turned to face her, guilt flashing across his expression. I brought you here because I can protect you. She shook her head. You can't control what they do. No, he said, but I can control what happens next. That night, fear stripped away pretense. They sat together on the couch, closer than before. Jinwoo's hand hovered near his, hesitant. I don't want to be your weakness, Aisha said quietly. You're not, he replied. You're the reason I'm stronger. Her chest ached at the sincerity in his voice. When his hand finally closed over hers, it wasn't possessive. It was grounding, human, and somewhere deep inside, walls began to crumble. What neither of them knew yet was that the real attack wouldn't come with words. It would come with fire. The fire came 3 nights later. It started small, almost polite. Aisha noticed the smell first, sharp and wrong, cutting through the cedar and clean linen she had begun to associate with safety. She was half asleep on the couch, a blanket pulled up to her chin, when her eyes snapped open. Smoke. Her heart slammed into her ribs. Jin! She shouted, scrambling upright. At the same moment, alarm screamed to life. Jinwoo was already moving, pulling her to her feet, wrapping his coat around her shoulders as he guided her toward the back exit. Stay with me, he said. Don't look back. The heat intensified as they moved. Somewhere near the front gate, flames licked upward, casting wild shadows against the walls. The fire wasn't inside the house, not yet, but it was close enough to make a point. Outside, cold air hit her lungs like a shock. Jinwoo didn't stop until they were behind the far wall, shielded from the street. Aisha's hand shook violently. This is because of me. No, Jinwoo said sharply. This is because someone wanted to send a message. And they used me to do it. He cupped her face gently, forcing her to meet his eyes. They failed. Sirens wailed in the distance. Jinwoo's phone buzzed incessantly in his pocket, but he ignored it. I need you to trust me, he said. Completely. Fear flooded her, but so did something else. Resolve. I do, she said, but I won't be moved like an object on a board. His jaw tightened. Then you'll need to be stronger than they expect. The days that followed blurred together. Security increased. Faces appeared she hadn't seen before. Quiet men and women who moved with purpose, who treated Jinwoo with respect and her with careful politeness. The house was repaired quickly, efficiently, as if this kind of damage was anticipated. Aisha hated that. She refused to stay idle. You want me safe, she told Jinwoo one evening. Teach me what that actually means. He hesitated. This isn't your world. It is now, she replied. So he taught her, not how to fight, not really, but how to notice, how to read a room, how to trust her instincts when something felt wrong instead of brushing it aside. They walked together through crowded spaces, Jinwoo pointing out exits, patterns, behaviors. You see that man, he murmured once, nodding toward a cafe patron. He keeps checking reflections. He's nervous. Aisha watched closely, because he's watching someone. Yes. And that woman by the window, she added slowly. She's pretending to scroll, but she hasn't moved her thumb in over a minute. Jinwoo looked at her, something like pride flickering across his face. You learn fast, he said. So did the enemy. The attack came when Jinwoo wasn't with her. Aisha was leaving the cafe with Lena, laughing about something trivial, when the world shifted. A hand grabbed her arm. Hard. She spun, heart racing, only to find herself staring into the face of a stranger. Miss Johnson, he said pleasantly, we need a word. Lena stepped forward. Back off. The man smiled. This doesn't concern you. Aisha's instinct screamed. She twisted out of his grip and ran. She didn't make it far. The alley was narrow, the air thick with garbage and rain. Another figure blocked her path. Please, she said, backing away. I don't want trouble. That's unfortunate, the man replied. You're already it. She fought, not gracefully, not expertly, but fiercely. She screamed. She clawed. She kicked. Long enough for a car to screech nearby. Long enough for doors to slam. Jinwoo's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Get away from her. The men scattered. Jinwoo pulled her into his arms, checking her for injuries with shaking hands. Are you hurt? She shook her head, breath ragged. They wanted to scare me. They wanted leverage, he said darkly. She looked up at him, anger blazing through her fear. I won't be used. His gaze softened and hardened at the same time. Then neither will they. That night, the distance between them disappeared. They sat on the floor of the bedroom, backs against the bed, the adrenaline slowly draining from their bodies. Jinwoo's hand rested over Hayes, his thumb tracing absent circles. I never wanted this life for you, he said quietly. I never wanted to be small, she replied. He turned to her fully. I don't know how to love halfway. Her breath caught. Then don't, she whispered. He leaned in, not rushed, not desperate, giving her every chance to pull away. When she didn't, his forehead rested against Hayes, their breaths mingling. The kiss was gentle, exploratory, a promise rather than a demand. When they pulled apart, something fundamental had changed. But peace never lasted long in Jinwoo's world, because while they were learning how to stand together, the man who ordered the fire was preparing something much worse. And this time, he wouldn't miss. The city always sounded different just before dawn. Quieter, but not peaceful. Like a held breath. Aisha stood at the kitchen window, watching the sky pale from black to bruised blue. Sleep had abandoned her hours ago. Every creak of the house, every distant siren, pulled her nerves tight again. Behind her, Jinwoo finished a call and slipped his phone into his pocket. It's happening tonight, he said. She didn't tone. Where? The docks. She nodded slowly. They're expecting you. Yes. And they're expecting you alone. He hesitated. She turned to face him. Don't lie to me now. They assume you'll stay hidden, he admitted. Aisha's jaw set. Then they're wrong. Jinwoo crossed the room in 2 strides. No, you said I wouldn't be an object on the board. This isn't a game. Exactly. Her voice didn't waver. That's why I get a say. Silence pressed between them. This is my life, she continued. They tried to use me because they thought I was weak. Invisible. Disposable. I won't prove them right by disappearing. Jinwoo looked at her the way he had the first night they met, like he was seeing something rare and dangerous and beautiful all at once. You could get hurt, he said. So could you, she replied. And you still go. He closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, something had shifted. Then you stay where I can see you, he said. And you listen to everything I say. She nodded. Deal. The dock smelled like rust and salt and oil. Floodlights cut harsh angles across concrete and water. Shadows pooled between stacked containers, hiding movement. The man who had ordered everything waited near the edge, hands in his pockets, confidence carefully rehearsed. Park, he called. You're late. Jinwoo stepped forward, Aisha just behind him. The man's gaze flicked to her, irritation flashing across his face. I told you to come alone. You told me many things, Jinwoo replied calmly. You've broken all of them. The man smiled thinly. You always did overestimate your leverage. And you underestimated mine. The man laughed. She's not leverage. She's a liability. Aisha stepped forward before Jinwoo could stop her. No, she said clearly. I'm the reason this ends. The man turned to her, amused. You think you matter here. Yes, she said. And that's what scares you. Something dark crossed his expression. You spat on me, she continued, her voice steady. You thought I'd bow my head. When I didn't, you tried fire. Fear. Men in alleys. She took another step closer. You did all of that, she said, because you can't stand being powerless. The man lunged. Jinwoo moved instantly, but Aisha was faster than anyone expected. She shoved a crate forward, sending it crashing into the man's knee. He fell hard, cursing. Jinwoo had him on the ground in seconds, controlled but unrelenting. It ends now, Jinwoo said quietly. The man laughed through blood. You think you won. Jinwoo leaned closer. No, I think you lost. Sirens wailed, closer this time. The man's smile faltered. Aisha stood over them, heart pounding, hands shaking, not from fear, but from adrenaline and something fierce and alive. She had not been saved. She had stood. Later, as the sun rose over the water, Jinwoo sat beside her on the hood of the car. The danger had passed, but the weight of it still lingered between them. I almost lost you, he said. You didn't, she replied. I don't want a life where every day feels like a battle, he continued quietly. Neither do I. He turned to her fully then, eyes bare. Stay with me. Not because it's safer. Because I choose you. Because I don't want a world where I come home and you're not there. Her chest tightened. Jinwoo, she whispered, I don't need protection. I need partnership. He nodded. Then that's what I'll give you. Months later, Aisha walked into the restaurant she now owned. Sunlight streamed through wide windows. The air smelled of fresh bread and spice. Her name was on the sign outside. She had built this on her terms. Jinwoo stood at the counter, sleeves rolled up, pretending not to be nervous. She smiled. The world hadn't become gentle, but she had become unbreakable. And together, they had learned that love wasn't about power over another. It was about standing side by side, unafraid. Thank you for listening to He Spit on a Black Waitress. Then her Korean Mafia boss boyfriend walked in flushed face. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support means the world. Until next time, Red Heart Hash.